In most cases, prenatal development occur normally and follow the established pattern of development with little variation. However, there are a number of things that can go wrong during this time, which are usually caused by genetic or environmental problems. Genetic problems. As you might imagine, genetic play a major role in development. However, in some cases, genetic problems can emerge that may impact both current and future development. Number 1. Like Down syndromes, also known as trisomy 21. Down syndrome is the most common genetic anomaly during prenatal development, caused by an extra copy of the 21 chromosomes. Number 2. Inherit if one or both parents carry a gene for the disease. And lastly, a sex chromosomes problems, the third type of genetic problems. Environmental problems. Environmental variable can also play major role in prenatal development. Harmful environmental elements that can affect the fetus are known as teratogens. There are a number of teratogens that can harm the fetus, including maternal drug use. The use of substances by the mother can have devastating consequences to the fetus. Smoking is linked to low birth weight, which can result in a weakened immune system, poor respiration, and neurological impairment. Maternal disease. There are a number of maternal diseases that can negatively impact the fetus, including herpes, rubella, and AIDS. Herpes virus is one of the most common maternal diseases and can be transmitted to the fetus, leading to deafness, brain swelling, or mental retardation. Women with herpes virus are often encouraged to deliver via cesarean to avoid transmission of the virus. During mammalian development, the time during which a young animal grows inside its mother is known as gestation. We all know that a human baby grows inside of the mother uterus for a period of time, about months, and that is has year of development ahead of the following birth. But what actually occurred during gestation?
Fetal development, month by month. Stages of baby growth in the womb. Month 1. As the fertilized egg grows, a watertight sac forms around it, gradually filling with fluid. This is called the amniotic sac, and it helps cushion the growing embryo. The placenta also develops. The placenta is a round, flat organ that transfers nutrients from the mother to the baby and transfers waste from the baby. A primitive face will take form with large dark circles for eyes. The mouth, lower jaw, and throat are developing. Blood cells are taking shape and circulation will begin. The tiny heart tube will beat 65 times a minute by the end of the 4th week. By the end of the 1st month, your baby is about a 1/4 inch long, smaller than a grain of rice. Month 2. Your baby's facial features continue to develop. Each ear begins as a little fold of skin at the side of the head. Tiny buds that eventually grow into arms and legs are forming. Fingers, toes, and eyes are also forming. The neural tube, that's brain, spinal cord, and other neural tissue of the central nervous system, is well formed. The digestive tract and sensory organs begin to develop. Bone starts to replace cartilage. The head is large in proportion to the rest of the baby's body. By the end of the second month, your baby is about an inch long and weighs about 1/30th of an ounce. At about 6 weeks, your baby's heartbeat can usually be detected. After the 8th week, your baby is called a fetus instead of an embryo. Month 3. Your baby's arms, hands, fingers, feet, and toes are fully formed. Your baby can open and close its fists and mouth. Fingernails and toenails are beginning to develop, and the external ears are formed. The beginnings of teeth are forming. Your baby's reproductive organs also develop, but the baby's gender is difficult to distinguish on ultrasound. By the end of the 3rd month, your baby is fully formed. All the organs and extremities are present and will continue to mature in order to become functional. The circulatory and urinary systems are working, and the liver produces bile. By the end of the 3rd month, your baby is about 4 inches long and weighs about 1 ounce. Since your baby's most critical development has taken place, your chance of miscarriage drops considerably after 3 months. Month 4. Your baby's heartbeat may now be audible through an instrument called a Doppler. The fingers and toes are well defined. Eyelids, eyebrows, eyelashes, nails, and hair are formed. Teeth and bones become denser. Your baby can even suck his or her thumb, yawn, stretch, and make faces. The nervous system is starting to function. The reproductive organs and genitalia are now fully developed, and your doctor can see on ultrasound if you're having a boy or a girl. By the end of the 4th month, your baby is about 6 inches long and weighs about 4 ounces. Month 5. You may begin to feel your baby move, since he or she is developing muscles and exercising them. This first movement is called quickening. Hair begins to grow on the baby's head. Your baby's shoulders, back, and temples are covered by a soft, fine hair called lanugo. This hair protects your baby and is usually shed at the end of the baby's first week of life. The baby's skin is covered with a whitish coating called vernix caseosa. This cheesy substance is thought to protect baby's skin from the long exposure to the amniotic fluid. This coating is shed just before birth. By the end of the 5th month, your baby is about 10 inches long and weighs from 1/2 to 1 pound. Month 6. Your baby's skin is reddish in color, wrinkled, and veins are visible through the baby's translucent skin. Baby's fingers and toe prints are visible. The eyelids begin to part and the eyes open. Baby responds to sounds by moving or increasing the pulse. You may notice jerking motions if baby hiccups. If born prematurely, your baby may survive after the 23rd week with intensive care. By the end of the 6th month, your baby is about 12 inches long and weighs about 2 pounds. Month 7. Your baby will continue to mature and develop reserves of body fat. Your baby's hearing is fully developed. He or she changes position frequently and responds to stimuli, including sound, pain, and light. The amniotic fluid begins to diminish. At the end of the 7th month, your baby is about 14 inches long and weighs from 2 to 4 pounds. If born prematurely, your baby would be likely to survive after the 7th month. Month 8. Your baby will continue to mature and develop reserves of body fat. You may notice that your baby is kicking more. Baby's brain is developing rapidly at this time, and your baby can see and hear. Most internal systems are well developed, but the lungs may still be immature. Your baby is about 18 inches long and weighs as much as 5 pounds. Month 9. Your baby continues to grow and mature. The lungs are nearly fully developed. Your baby's reflexes are coordinated so he or she can blink, close the eyes, turn the head, grasp firmly, and respond to sounds, light, and touch. Baby is definitely ready to enter the world. You may notice that your baby moves less due to tight space. Your baby's position changes to prepare itself for labor and delivery. The baby drops down into your pelvis. Usually the baby's head is down towards the birth canal. The baby is about 18 to 20 inches long and weighs about 7 pounds.
Immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass of the blastocyst starts differentiating to form the primary germ layers. This process is called gastrulation. The cells of the inner cell mass migrate, divide and rearrange into an outer layer called the ectoderm and an inner layer called the endoderm. During gastrulation, some cells that are moving inward contribute to form the mesoderm, the middle layer. The embryo is now called the gastrula. Gastrulation establishes the body pattern, that is, each tissue and organ of the adult originates in one of the three primary germ layers of the gastrula. The ectoderm gives rise to epidermal tissue, nervous tissue, retina, lens, cornea, etc. The endoderm forms the inner lining of the digestive tract, liver, pancreas, inner lining of the respiratory system, urinary bladder, urethra, vagina. The mesoderm gives rise to the dermis, all types of muscular tissue and various connective tissues. The development of the major organ systems is called organogenesis. Some cells called stem cells are present in the inner cell mass. The stem cells are pluripotent, which means that they can give rise to any type of tissue except those of the placenta and the extra embryonic membranes. The developing embryo is protected by fetal membranes. These are the yolk sac, amnion, chorion, and allantois. They are not a part of the embryo and are called extra-embryonic membranes. The extra-embryonic membranes protect the embryo, prevent it from drying out, and help in obtaining food and oxygen and eliminating wastes. The closed sac between the embryo and the amnion, called the amniotic cavity, contains the amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid acts as a cushion for the developing embryo and protects it from external blows. The amniotic fluid contains fetal cells. In a process called amniocentesis, the amniotic fluid is drawn out and examined to detect any abnormalities in the fetus. Embryonic development in humans is divided into 3 trimesters, spanning a period of about 280 days or 9 calendar months plus 10 days. This period is counted from the first day of the last menstrual cycle until parturition and is called the gestation period. In the human embryo, the heart is formed after 1 month of pregnancy. The limbs and digits are formed towards the end of the 2nd month. Most of the organ systems develop towards the end of the 1st trimester, that is, in the 3rd month. The limbs and external genitalia are well developed by this time. During the 5th month, the fetus shows signs of movement. and the appearance of hair on the head. Towards the end of the second trimester, that is, in the 6th month, the fetal body is covered by fine hair, eyelids separate, and eyelashes are formed. A fully developed fetus is ready for delivery by the end of 9 months.
There are 3 general phases of gestation. The germinal stage is the period of gestation from fertilization or conception, when the egg meets the sperms, to implantation of the embryo in the uterus. The embryonic stage of gestation is the period of after implantation, during which of the major organs and structure within the growing mammal are formed. Once the embryo is fully formed, it expands, grows, and continues to develop in what is known as the fetal development stage. This is when the mother becomes physically enlarged and visibly pregnant. The fetal development stage concludes at birth. Embryo phase. The embryonic stage of development refers to the period of time after implantation until the fetal stage begins. This lasts approximately 8 weeks. The embryonic stage is when most of the organs in body structures begin to develop. It also vulnerable at this stage in problems with maternal nutrition. Of exposure to environmental toxins can result in deformity or miscarriage. Blastocyst. It possesses an inner cell mass which subsequently form the embryo. Blastula. A series of cell divisions that makes a hollow wall of cells. Differentiation. Third stage in embryonic development. In this stage, the body now produces neurons, skin cells, muscle cells, and etc. Gestation is the period of time between conception, fertilization, and birth. Gastrulation is the process during embryonic development that changes the embryo from blastula with single layer of cells to a gastrula containing multiple layers of cells. Gastrula, early multicellular embryo composed of 2 or more germinal layers of cells from which the various organs later derive. Embryogenesis is a term that can be used to describe all of the processes of embryo development up until the time it becomes a fetus. We as aspiring SPED teachers, we tend to know the causes on why do abnormalities and disabilities may happen to some newly birth children that last until they came into the point of their physical maturities. And as time passes by, we normally expect some physical and mentally changes and growth for each newly birth child. But we should also study and learn those factors that may be the hindrances and causes on why do abnormalities occur and let's part to their mother pregnancy. Those pregnant women are very vulnerable on physical trauma. This is the reason why do a pregnant woman should avoid stress and should live a life more healthier. This is effect on your pregnancy, especially on your baby. Inadequate birth weight due to malnutrition or early birth place the infant of developmental risk. Because of this, I therefore conclude that every parent, especially the mother, is responsible to the result of the development of your child or baby. Every single thing that may be a cause of disturbance of developments of occurrence of disabilities should be avoided. Every single action that you should do may affect your child and last until his or her last stage of life. Protecting yourself means protecting your child from every harm and risk.